Hi, everyone. Welcome, and thank you so much for attending today. We will get started in just a couple minutes, but I'm just going to go over the slide really quickly. Thank you for coming to our UCEAP Presents Lessons from the Peace Corps event today. When you are viewing the presentation, feel free to leave your camera on like Ada has done. It's really fun for us to see who's in the audience and to connect with you all a little more directly. I know it's difficult to have these events virtually sometimes because we don't get to have those conversations. And so it's really nice to be able to see you. If you don't feel comfortable with that, you certainly don't have to. Throughout the presentation, please go ahead and leave yourself on mute just so that we don't have any background interference as we go through and share with our panelists. And if you can, go ahead and click on the upper right-hand corner of your little photo icon. It'll allow you to change your name if you click the rename option, and you can go ahead and put in your country and year from your UCEAP program. And if you have participated in the Peace Corps or are considering doing so, go ahead and place that into the chat where you might want to go or where you have gone. That's always very helpful information for us. And I'll give you a little overview of how the day will work. What we're going to do is I'll introduce myself quickly and my cat, and then we'll move on to introducing our three speakers today. And the way that this will work is that it will be primarily Q&A based. So what we'll do is I'll start out with some questions I've formulated for our presentation. And beyond that, I'm going to take questions from our audience. So throughout the call, if you have any questions that come up for you, please feel free to place them in the chat and we'll get to them when we can. And other than that, if you have any technical difficulties, please let us know and we're happy to troubleshoot that offline or outside of the call. So quickly, I'll introduce myself. My name is Bryn Lemon. I'm the Scholarship and Alumni Engagement Coordinator in our office in Goleta. I've been working in this role for 2.5 years now. And previously I worked in our office in Edinburgh, where I had studied during my junior year at UCSB. So I've worked for our program in a couple of different capacities. And I also lived in Chile for a year teaching English. So I love that Kim has experience in Chile as well. It's something that we talked about a couple of years ago. So I'm really excited to introduce our other speakers today. I'll go ahead and introduce Sarah really quickly because she's going to talk a little bit about our Peace Corps prep program, which is something that Kim is actually a part of. So we'll have Kim introduce herself just following that. But Sarah, would you like to give a little bit of information about the Peace Corps prep program?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. So I am the coordinator for UCEAP's Peace Corps Prep program. So that is a free certificate program that students can apply for, where they develop the skills and experiences they need to become a very competitive candidate for Peace Corps. Peace Corps has changed quite a bit. Pre-COVID, you got to pick where you served and the type of work that you did. So it's become incredibly competitive. So we wanted to strengthen the connection that UC has with Peace Corps to have the best applicants possible. And also to have an applicant pool that actually reflects the diversity of the United States. There's no obligation to continue on to Peace Corps. Students can also do this if they're interested in a career in public service or international service or international development. It is a professional development opportunity for them to do while they are at UC. And it does require one term abroad with UCEAP. So we really do feel that study abroad is a very good preparatory experience for Peace Corps. We are just wrapping up our 5th year of the program. And hoping to get renewed for another 5 years. But we've had over 100 students in the program, and we had 44 finish or about to finish. And actually, UCEAP came in 6th nationwide last year for the number of students that finished the program. So we were very happy with that, very surprised. Don't know if we'll be able to do it again, but we're hoping to grow the program even more. So I'm happy to share with you all today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
All right, thank you so much, Sarah. That's wonderful information. I saw a couple of them and they're writing some stuff down, or students, I believe. So that's exciting that we might have some new recruits. Thank you to everyone who started putting in their program information in the chat. And on the topic of Peace Corps prep, let's move on to have Kim introduce herself because she's been a wonderful Peace Corps prep mentor for us. So Kim, do you want to give a little overview of your background?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Killingsworth, and I attended UC Davis undergrad and did a year of EAP in Madrid back in 81. And I served in the Peace Corps for my 2 years in Honduras from 90 to 92, first in the literacy or education sector, and then I moved into small business development. And then I got to extend back in the days when they allowed extensions, and I got to go to Chile, which was just reopening to Peace Corps. So that was a really exciting time to be there. I was there for a year in small business development from 92 to 93. I'm currently the Director of International Recruiting and Relations for the Owen Graduate School of Management at Vanderbilt. So I basically get to travel the world recruiting young professionals for the MBA at Vanderbilt, and absolutely love it. I've had a whole career in international education. And I wish that I had known that international higher education was even a field. I didn't know that. I remember coming back from my EAP experience and trying to find a way to get back to Spain. And what I didn't realize at the time was that I had severe reverse culture shock. And I don't think that concept even existed back then in the early 80s. I've since worked in study abroad and learned a lot about that reverse culture shock, and it kind of puts things in light. But yeah, I wish I had known that international higher education was a field, and perhaps I would have gotten there sooner. But I definitely have applied my experience to my career, and I'm grateful for EAP and the Peace Corps.
Thank you. Ooh, thank you so much, Kim. Thank you for that introduction. Arnela, would you like to continue with yours?
Sure. Thank you all. My name is Arnela. I did my undergrad at UC Berkeley. My semester with UCEAP was in St. Petersburg, Russia in the spring of 2016. I did Russian area studies and Russian language, and it was homestay. It was really enriching. I still talk to my host family. I did the Peace Corps right after graduation because I think I just really loved being abroad. I really loved experiencing other cultures and learning languages and serving communities. And I was in the Peace Corps from 2017 to 2019. I was an English teacher, TEFL volunteer in Kosovo. I lived again in a host family for 2 years. So UCEAP definitely helped prepare me for that experience, which was a big part of my Peace Corps experience. I worked with a counterpart. I taught all the kids in the village from kindergarten through 9th grade. I learned a lot about the English language myself. So that was really enriching. And currently I'm a doctoral fellow, first year PhD student in the International Comparative Education program at Teachers College of Columbia, very much influenced by my study abroad and by my Peace Corps service. So I think, like him, I didn't really know that the field that I would end up in was a field, and slowly but surely sort of discovered it, and I'm very grateful for that. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much. We're so excited to have both of you here today. Excellent. Elizabeth, did you want to just say hello real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get started with our Q&A?
Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Janice Pearl, and I'm the Alumni Director here at UCEAP and work with Bryn. And this has been a talk that we've wanted to do for a long time. So we're really pleased to see you all here, and we're really passionate about our alumni, but also our double alumni Peace Corps and EAP. So thank you so much for being here, and I'm excited.
Excellent.
And one thing I forgot to mention, I'm so sorry, Bryn, is part of the Peace Corps Prep program is a mentorship program, which Kim participates in. Thank you so much, Kim, where we pair students in the Peace Corps Prep program with UCEAP alumni who are returned Peace Corps volunteers or currently serving in Peace Corps. I didn't serve in Peace Corps myself, so I don't have that perspective to share with students. So we thought this would be a really nice program feature. And I do think the students get a lot out of it. So thank you for everyone who has signed up to be a mentor. And if you are interested in signing up to be a mentor, please contact Bryn.
All right. Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate that. Excellent. So I thought we would go ahead and start out with giving a little bit of background to the work you're doing while abroad. I know that you each touched on a little bit of what you were doing, but I thought it would be helpful for everyone in attendance to hear a bit of the political climate kind of context for what was going on in the country when you were working there, and a little bit more detail about what you were doing while in country. So I don't know which of us wants to start, but I saw Arnela nodding along. Do you want to get us started? And then Kim can go ahead and follow suit.
Sure. Yeah, so as I said, I was in the education sector. I was a TEFL volunteer teaching English as a foreign language. I worked as a counterpart, so that's something that I think in every education placement in the Peace Corps, you get placed with a counterpart that you work with. So you're not alone in the classroom, and it's a deliberate design to try and keep the program as sustainable as possible, right? If I'm alone in a classroom teaching, then once I leave, that I'm not there anymore. But if I teach together with another teacher and we share best practices, we can help learn from one another. She taught me so much. She was a seasoned veteran, and we got to try out new activities. So that was a lot of what I did, was working together with Shvesa, my counterpart, to plan lessons and have really hopefully engaging lesson delivery and activities in the classroom. Another part of my work was community development and grant work. I pursued this more in the later part of my service because I didn't feel ready at the beginning. I came into this community, I didn't know these people, and I didn't feel that I was in a position to know what was best for them. So I didn't pursue anything early on. I waited until the end of my second year of service, and I did a grant project with my counterpart. So we did a community needs assessment together, sort of figured out what the school and community needed most and where we could contribute best. And then together with the community, we were able to get a grant from USAID and build a learning lab. It's a really cool, really collaborative experience that was really enriching. In terms of and then I also did a lot of clubs and extracurricular activities, a lot of just spending time in my community and getting to know the culture and the people and the language. And that was, I think, my favorite part. And in terms of the political climate, I think Kosovo is a really interesting post because it is a new country. So I was actually in Kosovo for its 10-year independence celebration. So that was really fascinating. But it's also a country that isn't recognized by the country from which it declared independence from. So that creates a bit of tension. There was a war in Kosovo in the late 90s, but that's a really still big part of their history and their life and their day-to-day reality. And so as a volunteer, as an outsider, that's something that I had to be really aware of. But I myself am from Eastern Europe. I'm originally from Bosnia. And I think that sort of allowed me to have perhaps a bit closer of an understanding to what they were going through, because Bosnia went through a very similar, not the same, but a similar sort of political ethnic tension earlier in the 90s. And so that, I think, just, it's really important no matter where you go that you understand that you are entering a place with a history and a culture that you are not going to know all of, no matter how many books you read and how many movies you watch and whatever. So it is a learning experience, but I think that the more that you prepare yourself ahead of time to be open to that experience and to be able to take it in as best you can, the more enriching it'll be. But I think in terms of the reality and how it impacted my service, you have to be aware of these tensions when you teach. I myself, as somebody I'm ethnically Bosnian, so I speak Bosnian or Serbian. That was a source of tension. So negotiating my own identity in that community was something that I had to do consistently throughout my service. And then practically, there were certain areas of Kosovo that Peace Corps volunteers were not allowed to go to for security reasons. So that's another, just reality of service. And something that we had to keep in mind. I never felt unsafe personally, security-wise. I knew we had systems and procedures, but yeah, I think that that's, you are going to a foreign country, you are living there for an extended period of time. And I think, I'll touch upon this probably in the next few questions as well, but you are kind of on your own once you're through with service or through training. You're in your community, and it's up to you to sort of make the most of that. It's not as structured, I think, as a study abroad program. So yeah, that's a long-winded way of answering that question.
It was an excellent way of answering it. Thank you so much. And I'm glad that you've touched on a few things that we'll get into more detail on later on. So excellent. Kim, would you like to go ahead and answer that question as well?
Sure. So the political climate in Honduras, when I went in 90, it was one of the largest, if not the largest, Peace Corps countries as far as number of volunteers, well over 200 back then. And that was because of Honduras's strategic position in the region and the US wanting to maintain access to the bases there. So some sites, such as mine, which was considered a city, like a medium-sized city, I think it had 12,000 population. Some had a few Peace Corps volunteers. I think at any one time, maybe we had about 5 in the city alone, and then certainly more in the small towns surrounding. So that might have been different than other Peace Corps volunteers' experiences where they were the only one in their town, but we always had a handful of volunteers because there were so many in the country. And as far as Chile, I was there in 92, 93. And as I mentioned before, it was right when the US was invited to come back for the Peace Corps. And it was just a few years after the plebiscite when the country decided, elected or voted on Pinochet stepping down and becoming in charge of the army, not the whole country. So it was a very, very interesting time to be there. And it's when a lot of the retornados, the people who had left in exile, were coming back into the country. And I actually ended up working with a couple of them in my first position. I was originally placed with the Ministry of Women in Chile, and was placed with a couple of these women who had returned from being in exile, maybe, 20 years at that point. And didn't look favorably upon the US government. So needless to say, it was very, very stressful working with them. I even had to share a desk with one of them, and she just didn't even want to talk to me because I was American and representing the US government. So that was kind of difficult. But getting back to what I did in Honduras, I started out teaching literacy trainers on training techniques. And then I caught wind of a small business project up in the north part of the country, completely opposite side of the country where I was, of working with women artisans who weave hats and baskets out of a natural palm fiber. And I love textiles. I had some small business experience in my background. So I thought, wow, that sounds really interesting. And I was actually able to change sectors from education to small business. And I'm really glad that I did. And because my experience really took off once I made that change. And back then, I don't know if it's the same way, you would have a secondary project. And mine ended up being working with microfinance. It was a relatively new concept back then in the early 90s, started by Mohammed Yunus, the Grameen Bank in Bangladesh. And turns out he did his PhD in developmental economics at Vanderbilt. So I was happy to hear that. Nobel Peace Prize winner. And he started the whole concept, base of the pyramid, pure lending, microfinance. And I first heard that and I thought, kind of sounds like a pyramid scheme. I don't know about this. But I checked it out and got involved in that, and it quickly took over as my primary project. And I founded 3 women's community banks. And I got to go back to Honduras 14 years later, and I was so touched to see that these banks were still functioning. And I walked into their meetings and they gave me a standing ovation. They all knew who I was as the founder of these banks. And it was just so fulfilling to see that they were still progressing towards their goals. And I really did see a difference while I was there, like women who had, the whole concept is that women would get together and have these community loans and invest back in the community by lending out the money. So it was constantly working. And there was a obligatory savings component. And I got to see women whose kids previously couldn't go to school because they couldn't afford the pencils or shoes to send their kids to school. And I got to see the change in how investing just a little bit of money made all the difference. And they were able to then send their kids to school. And it was just wonderful to be able to see that while I was there, because often Peace Corps volunteers don't necessarily see the results of their projects, which can be a little disheartening. So I feel really grateful that I got to see that. And then in Chile, I also worked in microfinance as well. First with the Ministry of Women, and then with an NGO in microfinance, which was very fulfilling as well. Thanks.
Thank you so much. That's excellent. I wanted to ask a clarifying question. This is from my own lack of knowledge. I heard you use the term "I was placed," and I don't have a lot of understanding with the Peace Corps about the amount of autonomy you have about where you're placed, whether it's a large city, a small city, and I would love a little bit of background about that, and I'm sure some of our participants would as well.
I'm sure it's very different now. Back when I applied, volunteers didn't have a say in where we went. But I said, look, I already speak Spanish. I'm 3/4 of the way through a master's in Spanish. I've lived in Spain, grew up on the border, have traveled extensively throughout Mexico, and really think that, hope that the Peace Corps would take advantage of that and place me in Latin America. And I was placed in Latin America. I don't know if they listened to me or if it was just because Honduras had as many volunteers as it did, but I remember when I got my placement in the mail and I wasn't quite sure where Honduras was. And I ran into the bathroom because I had this map of the world shower curtain, pulled it shut and was like, okay, that's where it is. And then when I applied to extend, it was because of this particular program that was opening up in Chile, where they were looking for volunteers with more experience than the typical volunteer. In particular, they wanted volunteers with an MBA who spoke Spanish. I didn't have the MBA or education in business, but I had the experience working on Honduras and I spoke Spanish. So when I got there, I got to actually help the other volunteers with their Spanish and developing the vocabulary for the jobs that they would be doing. And I've heard that since the Peace Corps, I guess pre-COVID, volunteers now get to have a say in where they go. So that's completely different than when I did it.
Yeah, so it is a little different pre-COVID. So it's sort of a say. You get to rank, as it were, either specific countries, or you can say that you're open to going anywhere. So you don't actually have to pick if you don't want to. I did rank specific countries because I wanted to go to Eastern Europe or Eurasia. That's where my language background was. That's where my sort of cultural and political and all that interest was. So I applied to go first to Kosovo, second to Ukraine, and third to Kyrgyzstan. And I got my first placement. Now, within country and sector-wise, I think you can also rank sectors. Kosovo only had TEFL, only had education. So that was what everybody in my cohort did. They've reopened community development, I believe, since, although now that may not be the case. And then once you're actually there, I wanted to go. Kosovo is a very interesting case. Again, why I picked it, they have two different kinds of sites. They have Serbian sites and they have Albanian sites. The vast majority of the country is Albanian. So the vast majority of volunteers go into Albanian communities and teach in schools where the language of instruction is Albanian. But there are still a fair number of students and schools in Kosovo that are actually run by the Ministry of Education in Serbia, and they teach in Serbian. And so some volunteers go to Serbian communities, just a handful. Now, because I spoke Bosnian, I applied to Kosovo so that I could go to a Serbian community, because Bosnian and Serbian are basically the same language. They're totally mutually, it's like you can interchangeable, you can understand each other. So I thought I would be placed in a Serbian community, and I was not. And that was its own little moment. I was really honestly disappointed, because I think, like him, I was like, here are my skills, here are my strengths, and how can you best use them to serve the communities where you're doing work. And so I didn't think that they did that. But language was not really a barrier for me, because I'd learned a lot of different languages in study abroad and in undergrad. So I picked up Albanian quite quickly, but I didn't have a say in where I was placed. Well, they ask you, but clearly it's not necessarily a binding agreement. So they do ask now, but you could get sent to a country that you didn't rank. You could get put into a sector that you didn't select. And then once you're there, it's sort of blind. You get placed somewhere, wherever.
Thank you so much. I think that was really, really interesting to hear. I appreciate it. I wanted to return to a topic that was touched on a little bit earlier, which was the differences and similarities between your experience studying abroad and your experience working abroad through the Peace Corps. I know that, Arnela, you had mentioned you lived with a host country. I know that it was obviously a vastly different experience for both of you. And I would love to hear a little bit about what that entailed. Arnela, would you like to begin addressing that, and then we'll move on to Kim's experience?
Sure. Yeah, I think, similarities. I lived with a host family in both study abroad and when I was in the Peace Corps. That's not necessarily the case. I'd say the vast majority of Peace Corps placements nowadays are actually not with host families for the entire duration of service. It depends on the post, and it depends on the availability of housing and kind of what that looks like in the communities where you serve. So that just varies widely, but I would say that's something you should look at and consider when you're deciding, if you're deciding to rank countries, to look at what the housing situation is, because it is quite a different experience if you live with a host family for 2 years than if you live, by yourself somewhere. So that's something to consider. I think, being somewhere new, being a foreigner, learning a new language, learning a new culture, that all is similar. The specifics are different, of course, but I think that sort of experience of having to figure it out and being confused and being comfortable with being uncomfortable, that was a big part of both my study abroad and my Peace Corps experience. The fact that you're a representative from the US and maybe potentially also from wherever else you come from, that's something else that I think factors into both experiences. In the Peace Corps, 2 years is a very long time to be the American somewhere. But that I was a little bit more prepared for that, having been in Russia. I think slightly different in that in my Albanian community, Albanians in Kosovo generally are really pro-American. Not so much the case in Russia, so a bit of a different situation there. I'd say the biggest differences in the Peace Corps, you have a lot more independence and more responsibility towards others. When you're studying abroad, it's really a responsibility, predominantly I'd say towards yourself and of course your institution that you're representing and UCEAP and all of those things. But when you're in the Peace Corps, you're there to provide a service for others. And so really it's putting that first, and more responsibility, more independence. So a lot more figuring things out on your own. I was in a new post. I was only the 4th cohort in Kosovo. So there was a lot more, or perhaps not as many supports in place as in other posts. So that was definitely different from when I was studying abroad, and it was very scheduled and regulated. There were activities you signed up for, and yeah, so those I think would be the main differences that I saw.
My experience was different in that in both my EAP experience and my Peace Corps experience, I lived independently. And in both situations, I was responsible for finding my housing on my own. And that was an experience in itself. And I'm really grateful for that experience. And in both situations, what was really important was developing credibility so I could develop trust as quickly as possible, especially in the Peace Corps, to be able to work on projects. You had to have that trust from the community. You had to quickly assess who the community leaders were and where you could plug in and who was going to help you get that credibility, which is really, really important and something that I advise if you do the Peace Corps, something that you keep in mind. As far as another similarity is didn't have a whole lot of money to spend. So being in Europe when you're a poor student, it was hard. It was really hard. And I self-funded my whole experience. And I did whatever I could to find ways to get loans to be able to make this experience a little less painful, because it couldn't work while I was there. I was working on campus beforehand, but couldn't work legally while I was there. I'm sure I did things under the table, like teaching English. But that was hard. And sometimes it was hard in the Peace Corps, though the stipend, which I think was $45 a month in Honduras at the time, granted, this was quite a while ago. It was a lot more than what local people had. So, just keeping that in mind, that kind of put things in perspective, but certainly had to get creative, especially when it came to travel. I remember, I don't know if the Peace Corps would be happy of me announcing this, but I remember the first time I went to Costa Rica was overland with this thumb. And a friend and I hitchhiked from Honduras through Nicaragua to Costa Rica with truckers. And it took about 3 days. And it was the only way we could get there because we couldn't afford a flight. And I think we did save our money so that we could fly back because we just did not want to repeat that experience coming back. But yeah, it certainly took being creative in a lot of different ways. And I find that I'm still very, very resourceful as a result. In fact, with one of my first jobs, it was when I was with Cornell working for the MBA program. I was just naturally booking like 2 or 3 star hotels, and they were saying, no, you got to book 5-star hotels. And well, no, I don't believe in spending the money on that. I don't need to stay in a 5-star hotel. And they sort of said, well, you're representing the school and the program. Yes, you do. And I still have a hard time with that. So yeah, the Peace Corps just instilled in me a real sense of resourcefulness.
Thank you so much. I think that actually leads perfectly into my next question, which is going to be, could you share one of the largest challenges that you encountered while abroad? You talked a lot about resourcefulness, and I think that that's a wonderful response to some of the larger challenges that you may have faced while serving in that role. So Arnela, do you want to begin? I see you nodding. You might have an answer.
Sure. I mean, many challenges, right? And they vary throughout the course of your service. And they vary in intensity. I'd say, for me, one thing that was really unique about Kosovo was, like I said, it was a new post. So there wasn't a ton of structure. And it was still figuring itself out, as it were. And so that was a challenge, I think, to navigate, and then also to get the support and the resources when you needed them. But I think, I don't want to say classic, but the challenges that you would think you would have 2 years abroad in the community. So a lot of homesickness, a lot of, what am I doing? Am I the right person for this? There are definitely, I think, challenges that I didn't expect. I had medical issues while I was in country. That can be something that a lot of volunteers face with, particularly if you're going somewhere where food and water are different from what you're used to. That can have an impact on you, and you may not know until you get there and sort of spend that time there. So those challenges, I think, one of the things that I struggled with a lot was leaving my community and going home. And the fact, and maybe this is just part of the experience, right? But that was my experience, that I went in there for 2 years and lived with them for 2 years, but then I went home. And so that was a challenge that I didn't fully anticipate upon return. I think that that's something that a lot of, they try and prepare you for, but returning as well, the reverse culture shock, as you said, and also a bit of, in my case, I think just, yeah, you know, coming to terms with like, okay, and now I'm going to the next phase of my life, but I don't want to leave them behind. So how do I continue serving this community even now that I'm gone? And how do I keep these connections that I worked so hard to build and that really I value? So those are a lot of, you know, challenges come in many shapes and forms, and they do vary, but I think you sort of learn to take them as they come, and they do their best, I think, the Peace Corps and UCEAP, to prepare you as well as they can.
I would say the biggest challenge for me was going from Honduras, where practically everybody embraced Peace Corps volunteers and they knew what the Peace Corps was because there were volunteers everywhere. Like I said, sometimes, you know, 5 or so in a city. And going to Chile, where it was a renewed program, had just restarted, and not all Chileans were excited about the US government coming back in, given its role 20 years earlier. And that part was really, really hard. Being placed in jobs where I was not welcome and where I continually had to defend myself. And I referred to the 2 women who had come back. They'd been in exile in Germany for 20 years and they came back, and I was working with these 2, literally sharing a desk with one. She was on one side, I was on the other. And they wouldn't talk to me. And they said the reason was I didn't speak Spanish. And at this point, I had just finished my master's in Spanish. And it was just, I was so offended to be told that. Nobody had ever told me they couldn't understand my Spanish before. So to not have that sense of security that I had in Honduras, where we really were embraced and appreciated for what we were doing, was really, really hard.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that, both of you. I know that you've each individually touched on the topic of reverse culture shock, and I think that that would be a really interesting thing to explore and gain a little more insight into. So I don't know if you want to start, Kim, and discuss what that experience was like for you, and then Arnela, you can share yours as well.
I think it hit me the hardest when I came back from a year in Madrid, because I had changed so much. It was only 2021 at the time. And to come back, I had to take a year off to work to be able to pay back all those loans I took to have a good time in Europe. So when I came back to Davis, all of my friends had graduated. I didn't know anybody and I didn't have my support network. And I just wanted to be back in Madrid with all of my friends there. And it was just so incredibly hard. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And like I said earlier, I was just looking for any way I could to get back to living in Spain, and wish I had known that international education was a field, like I said. It wasn't so bad. It didn't hit me so badly coming back from Honduras and Chile. I was only home for a month in between the 2 countries. basically to swap out my clothes and to go from middle of summer to dead winter in Santiago. So that was a little bracing, but the reverse culture shock didn't hit me as much, even though I was gone for 3.5 years this time. But it was definitely when I was younger, coming back from that year in Madrid, that it really, really hit me. And like I said, I wish I had known what it was. And in hindsight, I, might have approached it differently. I'm not sure how, but probably could have found the resources to deal with it better.
Yeah, I think for me, coming back from Kosovo, I struggled the most with sort of how to explain the last 2 years of what I had just done to all these people who I think just had no kind of frame of reference to take in what I was trying to explain. And that's a real challenge because it does change you. It does really, you grow and you learn. And when you come back, you want to share that with, friends and family, but it can be really hard to articulate. And I think also for me, I left in May of 2017. So about a year and something into the Trump administration. And I came back in 2019, 2 years later. And I wasn't in the US for that time. Before going, I was a political science major. I was really active in politics domestically and in sort of foreign policy intellectually. And I disengaged while I was in the Peace Corps from US politics because there was so much that I was doing where I was. I was really immersed in Kosovo and in my community and in that work. And so that was a bit jarring as well, I think, in particular to return to and to try and navigate my own space in again. I think sort of both sides, right? So that would be, I think those were and then small things like being in a car and thinking like, oh, I should just pass the person in front of me, which is not something you do in the US, but is something you do a lot in Eastern Europe when they're going too slow. So little things like that. And being shocked at like how big things were. I remember opening my sister's cupboard and being like, oh my gosh, everything's supersized. Like all these jars are massive and these like coffee bins are this big and just everything was so, but that was another really big shock for me coming back to the US. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I was also abroad during that same period of political experience in the US. And I think it was a very strange experience to return and to have been so disconnected from politics during that time and to have completely just ignored all US news. It was a little overwhelming not being present for it. Kim, I saw you unmute yourself. Were you going to add something?
Yeah, I was going to say piggybacking. I remember I think I had a month in between Honduras and Chile, and I was at the grocery store and I was looking at yogurt. And I was coming from a place where maybe once a week they would bring yogurt in. It was one kind, full fat, no flavor. And usually it was spoiled because of the heat. And I remember being in the yogurt aisle and looking at all the options and just having a meltdown. So I had a whole grocery cart full of groceries that I just abandoned. I've never done that. And I'm embarrassed to say it, but I could not deal with the choices that we have in this country. Yogurt and hygiene products.
Wow. Yeah. I think that's something that a lot of students experience when they go abroad. They're so shocked by the lack of like deodorant in some places that, they're just so surprised that they can't access the same materials. That's a really interesting and insightful experience. I wanted to hear a little bit more about what it was like to return to the US following having viewed the US from an external lens. So I know that we all have experienced that through our study abroad programs, but being in the Peace Corps, I'm sure that you learned a little bit more about the perception of America abroad. I know, Kim, you touched on that quite a bit from the Chilean experience, but I'm wondering what your experience was like of returning to the US, having, yeah, just this greater appreciation for either, what was here, but also maybe for our impact on the world more globally, and the ways in which maybe that evolved throughout your experience with the Peace Corps.
I can start. I think one thing for me, it gives you a lot of perspective to spend that much time abroad. I think, yeah, coming back, and of course the amount of choices and the sizes of things, but you really, there were so many things that I took for granted and so many resources that to this day, I'm like, look at this printer that I have to print all my things. I had to make all my little handouts in the Peace Corps by hand because we didn't have a printer at our school. And just small things, really, you get a lot of appreciation and perspective for in terms of day-to-day experiences. I think politically, it was interesting because on the one hand, many Albanians in Kosovo are very pro-US. There is still US military base. It was right near where my site was, and my counterpart's husband worked on the US military base, Camp Bondsteel. And so that was one thing, but Serbians did not like the US for pretty much the same reason that Albanians did. And I think as an American abroad, trying to understand both perspectives or neither or somewhere in between for yourself is challenging. And then coming back, and I think I'm much more critical, not just of US politics, but of development practices in general, internationally. I think that's something that the Peace Corps really opened my eyes to. As a volunteer, you spend about 2 years, generally speaking, in your community, and you work alongside your community. You don't get dropped in for a 3-month or a 2-week, something and then extracted and you've left a playground. That's not the type of service that the Peace Corps provides. And there are a lot of organizations and a lot of development groups in the United States and abroad that do. And I saw that, sort of from a different perspective as somebody who was part of a community who had, international development aid workers come in and drop something new and say, here you go, and take some pictures and then leave. And that's a lot of what, not just, like I said, it's not just the US, but that's a lot of what the, development can look like. So it broadened my perspective, but it also gave me a really important critical lens through which to view the practices and policies of our government and of other governments in international settings, and then also my own work, because I continue to work in international educational development. And that's really shaped a lot of how I see my role and where I see sort of my ethics in the field. Yeah.
I would say my situation was very similar, especially with the approach to international development and seeing, we were in a person-to-person exchange type of program on the ground, and just being more critical of that, how organizations and governments work, looking at USAID and how they function as versus the Peace Corps or other governments, NGO organizations. And also just, I became hyper aware of waste in this country. And even to this day, 30 years later, if I'm in a public restroom and somebody has left water on while they're doing something else, like brushing their teeth or brushing their hair, I go over and turn it off. It's like, just cannot stand to see water wasted. Thinking back to where I lived in Honduras, and I remember once we went 10 days without any water. And so still to this day, I think that's something that's ingrained in me, and I'm always going to have that, for better or for worse.
Wow, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I wanted to open the floor to anyone who's participating today to ask any questions that they may have. I know that Ada has been a very attentive listener, and I'm wondering if you have any questions. It looks like you're currently abroad. And I was wondering if you had anything that you wanted to ask. Feel free to unmute yourself or place it into the chat. And if you don't, that's okay, but I thought you might perhaps. And
hi, everyone. So my name is Aida, and I'm currently studying at the University of Manchester in the UK. Thank you for the panelists' experiences. I was born and raised in Mexico, and I know the struggles of like the culture shock of like having very basic things that in the United States we might take for granted, like everyday things. And I have also backpacked around the world for like months. So the idea of just taking a hot shower and having a clean towel, it was for me like the most shocking thing when I came back to the United States. But for me, I think like my question goes to, this is the first time I hear about the Peace Corps. And even though like I hear the work and stuff, I still don't fully have an understanding of like, I know, I mean, you're gonna, go for 2 years and be a volunteer, but how can you sustain yourself, or all those like kind of logistics behind it, like what will be the process of that?
Should I just
yeah, that's a
I can
great
go ahead
question.
and answer. Yeah, that's a great question. So as a volunteer, you don't earn money, so you're not paid. That's why you're a volunteer, but you don't expend money to be a part or a Peace Corps volunteer. So other than in the beginning, I think there's some with like medical clearance, you might have to pay some fees if you need to go to the doctor. They reimburse a certain part of that. But your flight to pre-service training, the Peace Corps books for you, your flight to country and your return flight, the Peace Corps books for you. You get paid a stipend every month, but that stipend goes towards, for me, in my instance, I paid my host family and I negotiated a food cost with them. So I had a set sort of living cost I paid them every month, and then I paid them for food as well. And that I got from the Peace Corps. It's a set amount that you get every month, and then you sort of negotiate how you spend it. As Kim mentioned, it's not a lot. So it's supposed to be, they run an index. This is how it works. They run an index every year, and they get local costs for typical items that you would buy. And then they approximate a budget for a standard sort of volunteer based on the local cost of goods. And that's what you get as a stipend. It is usually enough to live off of. If you are, but mind you, you are living at the level of your community. So, right, that's what the stipend is there to support you to live as. If you want to travel while you're in the Peace Corps, you will either have to save your stipend if that's something you can manage to do, or self-fund your travel. And then the other thing is, once you return, so health insurance, all those types of things are also covered by the Peace Corps. So you have a whole in-country medical unit, and you do all of your medical needs and things like that through them. So that's actually, I think, a really great service. So don't worry about your sort of health and safety. That's definitely taken care of. But I'd say, yeah, you have to be frugal still. You don't get a lot of money. And then once you return, you earn every month that you're in service. After like 3 or 6 months, you start accruing a monthly return allowance that gets paid out to you once you finish your service and return back to the United States. If you complete your full 2 years of service, I think right now somewhere it comes around something like $9,000 is what you get once you return to the, something like $9,000 is what you get once you return to the United States. After 2 full years, you would have had to complete the 10,000 now, see? So it may have even gone up a bit, exactly. And that all, so that's kind of the finance logistics of it. I will say also, there are other benefits. Yeah, I hope so. There are other benefits that you get once you return. So as a return Peace Corps volunteer, there are certain graduate programs, for instance, that you can apply to with scholarships through the Coverdale Fellowship. There are other sort of ways that the Peace Corps supports return Peace Corps volunteers in your career and professional development.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Arnela. Excellent.
Yeah, one of the perks too is 1 year of non-competitive status with federal jobs, which is a highly valuable benefit.
And you can defer the 1 year non-competitive status if you go straight to school after the Peace Corps, so you don't lose it.
Thank you so much.
I nominate Arnela as campus recruiter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you
And
so much.
Ida, there will be a recruiter for the UC campus that you're from.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kim. Alyssa, I saw that you've put your video on. Did you have a question you wanted to ask, or are you just participating?
Yeah, well, kind of both, but I also have the same question as Ida, and she answered it very well. And now I'm like, well, where do I sign up? I'm barely in my 3rd year, but I'm already like, okay, this is what I want to do. My main question now is, I'm a global studies major and I'm currently studying abroad for the year in Barbados. And then I wanted to, well, now I'm kind of mid-quarter life crisis. So I'm like, wait, I didn't even know about Peace Corps until now, but I don't know. I was planning on getting my master's in public health or global health, and basically doing the Peace Corps. That's like what I want to do. Eventually go into nonprofit global like work in general. But I'm just wondering about the timing of it all. What would be, and now that I've heard, I mean, both of everybody's kind of input, I would say that it seems better to do Peace Corps before school. But I just wanted to see what everybody has to say about that.
I would recommend you look into the Peace, I think it's called Peace Corps Partners, where you pursue a master's as part of the program. I wish I had known about that before I did the program.
Yeah, I think there's a wide variety. So in my cohort, a lot of us were younger, out of undergrad. A lot of us had their master's or had their teaching credentials, so had completed that and then come to the Peace Corps. And then some had 20, 30, 40 years of professional experience and then were in the Peace Corps. So it really depends. I think it's what's best for you. There is no correct answer for everybody. It's whatever makes the most sense for you based on what you want to do after, based on what you want to use your Peace Corps experience for, and also how it fits into your life. You know, it made sense for me to go when I did. It made sense for Lily, who was in my cohort and was in her 60s, to go when she did. So it's just what's best for you.
But I will plug, you should probably apply to the Peace Corps prep program to significantly increase your chances of getting accepted.
Definitely good put on, definitely. Thank you. Thank you.
Recruit people who are going into retirement or are already retired to join the Peace Corps. I plan on doing it in retirement, doing it again.
Excellent. That's really exciting to hear. That's the best endorsement for the program. I think that you'll do it a 3rd time. So thank you so much. I think we're just at time now. So I will be including Sarah's contact information in our email in case anyone from the call wants to join the Peace Corps Prep program or is interested in just learning a little bit more information about it. And we'll also include, Arnela's already put her email in the link here. You're welcome to contact Kim on LinkedIn if you have any further questions for her as well, and Arnela as well. And I just want to thank you both for your time today and for sharing such valuable insights with everyone. I think that it was a wonderful talk. It was really cool to hear what you've been up to, and we've corresponded a bit over my experience here. Arnela, not so much, but Kim, we've been in touch, and it's so nice to hear more about your experience and to get to know you so much more. So thank you both so much, and thank you to everyone who attended today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope
Thank
y'all
you so
come.
much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All righty.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
That was good. I thought, hi, Clark. Oh, you're on mute. I can't hear you. You're on mute. Yeah, there
Unmute?
you are. There you are. Hi.
Good. Good. Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm glad you were able to get in. Sorry about that.
It's no problem at all. I got the last 25 minutes, so that was good.
Good.
I think you're doing a great job. And
Oh.
at some point, it might be fun to bring in a bunch of really old people like me who have had like 50, years since we were in, more than 50
Sure.
with the EAP and with the Peace Corps. Because as you probably know, I've stayed in quite close contact with my group, the Niger group and Peace Corps, and also the people from Senegal that trained with us. And without exception, everybody has said that the Peace Corps was one of the absolute highlights of their lives. It was one of the most important experiences they ever had. It made them a stronger, better person, certainly more resilient, more tolerant, more understanding, more caring, more compassionate. If you have an opportunity, there's no reason in the world not to do both EAP, which was sort of the entryway into the Peace Corps, I thought, and also the Peace Corps itself.
Yeah.
So you're doing great stuff. I'm really pleased to see that the Peace Corps is going back overseas now. I'm at the 24 countries, 12 of which I guess are in Africa, and half of those are in West Africa. And so it must be exciting. It must have been a tough time for you guys with EAP kind of put down for a while, and also Peace Corps.
Yeah, I think it has been. We're hopeful. We have a lot of students abroad right now, and we have, a couple thousand scheduled to go abroad in the fall. So, fingers crossed, things with the situation in Eastern Europe doesn't get any worse, and those students will be able to go. But it's been a hard 2 years. So we're thrilled that students can get back out there. So
that's terrific. I'm having a lot of fun. Also, I'm a Peace Corps mentor. Thank you,
wonderful.
Brad. And I'm working with Jessica Welshot who's a junior at Berkeley.
Oh,
And
good.
she's wonderful. And so we
good.
we just a couple of days ago had about an hour conversation together. So that's really nice.
Nice. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, I like your idea of maybe having sort of, panelists from an older perspective. For this one, we really thought we wanted somebody who was closer to the application process. So, but I love the idea of some old stories as well. So I know that would be great. But either Bryn or I will be in touch. And thank you for all you do to support EAP.
And thank you very much for doing an excellent job, both of you.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.